evening, everybody. Welcome to Engage Culture Podcast. I am your host, Pastor Israel here, and I'm so excited to spend this evening with you as we deal with this interesting event which happened last week, which involved Prince Harry and his wife, the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan. They had an interview with Oprah Winfrey where it was a tell-all about all the issues that are happening between them and the royal family. And this is what this podcast is about. It's about being able to address issues happening all around us and gleaning biblical lessons and seeing what we can learn. So I'm going to open by indicating to you that this is not going to be a hit piece against either party. But it's not a hit piece against Harry and his wife. It's not a hit piece against the royal family. We're just going to see what biblical lessons we can learn from this. And some of those biblical lessons might be critical of Harry and his wife or of the royal family, just depending on the particular principle that we are dealing with. So in this case that we have today, we've actually got 5 parties in this case. We've got Harry and his wife, party number 1. We've got the royal family, party number 2. The third party in this, we've got the British media. The fourth party is the American media. And the fifth party is us. So there's a lot of things we're going to learn. And some of the principles we're going to throw out are going to really stretch us. And we're going to just really go to another level in terms of how to deal with family conflict or problems in a family. The first issue I want to indicate to you based on this matter is there is no perfect family. There is no perfect family. Even in the Bible, I was just reading through the Bible and trying to find where is a perfect family in the Bible. We look at the first family, Adam and Eve, in a place of perfection in Eden. They were not perfect. Even they fell. And even when they fell, Adam was blaming his wife. And even in their family, the first murder in human history occurred in their family when their son, Cain, killed his own brother. That wasn't a perfect family. We go on to Noah. His family wasn't perfect. One of his sons laughed at him at his nakedness, and he cursed his own blood. We go on to Abraham. Abraham wasn't perfect. Abraham even offered up his wife to save himself because he was afraid. He offered up his wife to another man, to the king of the land. And when you just go through the Bible case after case, you even look at Isaac, his relationship with Esau and Jacob wasn't good. You look at Jacob, he had 12 sons and he showed love to one, and the other 11 he didn't show love to, and it created conflict in the family. So one of the first things I want to open by indicating to you is that there is no perfect family. So just because it's called the royal family doesn't equal perfect family. So what we're seeing playing out in terms of problems are normal because there is no perfect family. Number 2, it's very critical that even as they're dealing with this conflict, as Harry and his family are going through this conflict, it's very important not to cast stones against the royal family. I'm seeing a lot of people all over the internet, all over social media, guns, knives are out for the royal family at this time. And John 8 verse 7 says, when they kept on questioning him, he straightened up and said to them, let any one of you who is without sin be the first to stone her. So as you're throwing stones at the royal family, I want you to consider this. The first point we indicated to you, that there is no perfect family. So if your family is perfect, if you, your mom and dad, your brothers and sisters, your uncles, your cousin, you come from this perfect family where everybody loves each other, everybody supports each other, everybody, is just there for each other, fine, go ahead, throw the first stone. But I know that even in my family, we're not a perfect family, and there's no such thing as a perfect family. So I'm very reluctant to throw any stones against another family because there is no perfect family. And let him with that family that is without sin cast the first stone. Number 3, now this one's very important. I strongly believe this. Keep your family flaws and imperfections out of the media. So this for me is critical of Harry and Meghan having a tell-all with Oprah. I don't think that was right for them to do that. Do not air your dirty laundry. Do not air your dirty laundry. I'll use an example. One of the people I like on social media, one of the celebrities, their conduct in terms of how they carry themselves has got to be Beyonce. She's had a lot of drama with her dad, her mom, but she has never aired her dirty laundry. She's never had a tell-all or whatever. She always keeps the things private. Even that dispute which she had with Jay-Z, where Jay-Z got kicked in the elevator by Solange. She then immediately, her first reaction wasn't immediately to go to media. Yes, she did an album creatively, Lemonade, and vented herself creatively. But there's just power in keeping your family issues private. There's power in keeping your family issues to yourself. And I think that it's very critical that on this point, that as believers, with all our family flaws, with all the imperfections in my family, I'm not going to go to the media and put my parents on blast, or put my brother on blast, my sister on blast, based on our imperfections, because I know that even in our imperfections, everybody has got an imperfect family out there, and it's not helpful. In Matthew 18, verses 15 to 17, it says, "If your brother sins against you, go tell him his fault between you and him alone. If he listens to you, you've gained your brother." So one of the things with keeping family issues private, when you deal with them privately, it actually helps you draw together closely. But when you bring private family issues and you make them public, for example, you're having an issue with your wife, you're having an issue with your husband, you're fighting each other, and one of you decides to go on social media and start saying, "Oh, my husband is a problem," or "My wife never listens," or whatever it is. The moment you do that, it increases the rift. It doesn't heal the situation. It actually devastates it and makes it even worse. So it says, so if you deal with it in private, you actually gain a brother. And then the Bible goes on to say, if he does not listen, take one or two others along with you, that every charge may be established with the evidence. Now watch this very carefully. So when you're having this conflict in your family, the next stage is, if you can't deal with it privately, the Bible says bring 2 or 3 witnesses. Again, the first inclination is not to go to Oprah. The first inclination is to handle it man to man. So Harry and his brother, if they can't handle it man to man, the next stage is to bring 2 or 3 witnesses, where every charge may be established by evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses. And then it says, if he goes on further to not listen to you, tell it to the church. And even then, if he refuses to listen to the church, let him be to you as a Gentile or a tax collector. So the Bible's recommendation for family problems is not publicizing our family problems. That's not the kingdom way of handling family matters. The Bible method is to handle it privately, and first of all, just the 2 of you. And if you can't clear it out, you bring in 2 or 3 witnesses, friends, close friends and close family. Again, you're not bringing in Oprah and Piers Morgan or whoever to start dealing with your issue. You deal with it again on that level. And then if you can't handle it on that level, on a close family, close friends level, the next level is to bring it to the church. And then the church will intervene. And if you can't bring it, if the church can't intervene, the final step again is not to go out there and publicize your family problems. The final step the Bible recommends is actually just to leave. And I think I don't know all the facts of this family situation, but what we do know factually, common cause, this is common cause facts, is that Harry and his wife had left the family. They had already done this stage. I don't know if they'd done the first 2 stages. I don't know if they had addressed things privately, if they addressed things with family, and if they had addressed things with the church, or if they just rushed to stage 3. It's very important that before you dissolve, I mean, we're in this culture of cut off this one, toxic friend, cut off this person. And we love this cutting off business, but we don't like the hard work of working through problems, the hard work of hard conversations, the hard work of disagreements, the hard work of dealing with each other. Even in marriage, I mean, we've witnessed in South Africa, people married for 2-3 weeks, divorced. People married for less than a year, divorced. And I was asking myself, I don't think in a year you have exhausted every option. I don't think you've literally just gotten angry and rushed to stage 3, which is madness. And it is very important that we learn to deal with conflict as believers, that in marriages, in our relationships, even in church, you got someone who gets offended, they don't communicate to anyone, and they just up and leave. And they don't address an individual. They don't bring in 2 or 3 witnesses. They don't bring in the church. They just immediately, I'm offended, I'm angry, I'm gone. So we have to learn how to handle conflict as believers. We got to learn how to sit down and have difficult conversations with one another and be able to work through them. And then after we have exhausted, the Bible actually allows us to do what Harry and his wife have done. But you have to have at first done the first 3 stages before you jump to the 4th and final option, the nuclear option, which is to leave. And why I strongly disagree with that interview. I strongly disagree with the action they took to publicize their matters. I'm very open with that. You might agree with it. You might be someone who enjoys these stories and just sitting through listening to stuff like that. But I strongly disagree with airing your private family conflicts in the media. I strongly disagree with that. And this is why, number one, it doesn't heal the family. It only adds fuel to the fire. The moment you take that step to put your family, to put your mom, your dad, your brothers, whatever it is, and to put them out there in the media, it doesn't heal the family. It actually destroys the family. And number two, what happens as well is, though you might have been wronged, though you might have been the victim initially, but once you take that step to bring it into the media space, you're no longer the victim. You're actually now the aggressor. You've changed the conversation. And number three, I believe it's totally wrong to do that. And 2 wrongs don't make a right. Even though they might have wronged you, even though they did all these things to you, as a believer, I don't believe that it is right to put your family on blast publicly. I strongly disagree with that. And then finally, the other reason why it is not wise to publicize your family problems is people are vicious. People are vicious. The people on the outside, the 5th party in this thing, in fact, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th party, the British media, the American media, and us as consumers of media, we're extremely vicious. And vicious in that for those who subscribe the American media, and the American media are siding with Harry and Meghan. The British media, by and large, are siding with the royal family. So what happens is you've now got 2 factions right now. You got 2 factions. There are those, just go online. There are those who strongly support Harry and Meghan, and then you've got those who strongly support the royal family. So because people are vicious, so they don't just support the royal family and leave it there. They decide, okay, we're going to attack Meghan. We're going to attack Harry. Vicious things are being said about Harry and his wife. Extremely vicious things by those who support the royal family. And likewise, those who support Harry and those who support his wife, extremely vicious things are being said against the crown and against the royal family. So depending on where you stand right now watching this, if you're pro palace, your opinion is going to be, let's attack Harry and his wife. Let's tear them down. And if you're someone who's on the side of Harry and his wife, you're going to be like, no, we need to attack the palace. We need to go against them. So people are extremely vicious. They're not just only going to support the party that they support, the individuals they support. They are also going to actively and viciously attack one of the parties. We saw it with Piers Morgan. He supports the crown, but it's not only, he didn't just stop there in supporting the crown. He viciously attacked Harry and Meghan, and now he has quit and lost his job. Sometimes it's easy to dish it out. But it's very difficult to receive also hyper criticism. And that's why we always have to be builders. We have to be careful to be builders and not people who throw. Jesus was right. We always have to be people who understand that we've got flaws. We've got flaws. We've got flaws. And even in my saying this, I'm not coming against Harry. I'm not coming against the crown because I've got my flaws. I've got my own family flaws. And I'm very, very careful to understand that if I'm going to throw the stone at either, it's me who's next. It's me who's going to, let's say years from now, me and my kids or me and my son, we get into significant conflict and then he does a tell-all. Or years from now, something happens between me and my family and I'm doing a tell-all. So we have to be very careful. We have to be very careful not to throw stones, but I'm a firm believer that family issues should not be aired out in the media. And also in social media. If you're fighting with your wife, please don't put it on social media. If you're fighting with your man, don't put it on. There's some people when they're fighting in a relationship, you can see it. You can see it on social media just based on the things they're saying. So just keep your family issues private. Number 4, the other thing I believe just from observing the situation is no matter how much Harry and Meghan try to communicate the pain they have felt in this family dispute, we will never fully understand what they went through because family conflict is extremely complex and it's very deep. All the stories they shared, then they're not even a tip of the iceberg in terms of what they went through. And when you're dealing with the royal family, there's 3 things you have to know about the royal family. The royal family is a very unreasonable family environment. It's not a family environment for everyone because it's governed by 3 things. It's governed by first of all, years of traditional protocols that have been passed from generation after generation. There's a way you have to walk. There's a way you have to talk. There's a way you have to stand. There's a way you have to eat. There's a way you have to talk to the queen. There's a way you have to make announcements. You can't just announce, for example, you can't just announce I'm getting married. You can't just wake up and say, wow, I've just gotten engaged. There's a process and a protocol to that. You just can't announce we are pregnant. You just can't. There's protocols to all of that. If the queen is pregnant, no one in the family can make any significant announcements until that child is born. So whether you're excited that you just graduated, whether you're excited that you're just getting engaged, you can't even announce your engagement. You have to wait once the baby is there. There's protocols. So it's something very unreasonable and it's something very difficult. Very few people can thrive in that environment. And then there's also religion. They got a religious aspect, and the religious aspect again is very overbearing. It's very legalistic. It's not grace-driven. They take divorce extremely seriously. There's no grace. There's no mercy in terms of it's a very religious thing. And then there's also the political aspect where they have to work with the constitution and work with parliament, work with the prime minister, So it's a family environment that is not ideal for anyone. You actually have to be born. Personally, I would be bored as hell. I don't think I would survive even as long as Meghan, and that's just me. I don't even think I would survive as long as in that family. It's not for everybody, and it's a very difficult, even for the family members themselves who are born in there. They are constantly falling short of the glory. And then this one is this one is very important. Number 5, do not draw judgments. And this is a principle for any leader. Do not draw judgments on anything or anybody based on one side of the story. It's very important. Right now, this week, we've got Meghan and Harry's side of the story. And everybody is jumping the gun and just concluding all kinds of things about the royal family. But it is not wise. In the book of Proverbs, it says, in a lawsuit, the first to speak seems right until someone comes forward and cross-examines. Judge don't draw judgments based on one side. And as human beings, it's our nature. When we hear one side, we conclude, oh, that this person is guilty. I believe Harry, I believe Megan. And I'm not saying anything they've said is untrue, but it's also important to make sure that with all the allegations, and some of them were nasty, and one of them in particular was extremely disgusting and racially offensive. But even though someone has raised up these allegations, it is very important to make sure that don't just jump to the conclusion that, people are already saying, yes, we believe it's Philip who said that thing about the skin tone of Archie. And, some people already concluding that with no evidence. Megan herself didn't say it was him. And here's this old man in hospital right now fighting for his life. And people already just concluding, it's him, with no evidence, no hearing the other side. It's very important in life. Make sure, after someone says something devastating about anybody, if someone comes to you and tells you something about your husband, make sure you hear the other side. If someone comes to you and says something about your wife, make sure before you just jump in and say, yes, it's the truth, make sure that you also get to hear the other side. Right. Now I'm going to throw out just one of the things I'm noticing in the world today. The world is going crazy. The world is drifting farther and farther away from what the Bible says, and from the design of God. And we've got so many demonic ideologies that are dominating the political space, the media space. Even right now, some of the policies being put forward by the Biden administration are very concerning in terms of how they conflict with the Word of God. And even in culture, some of the things that are happening, there's so many things just being canceled left, right, and center. There's so many things, particular on the issue of gender. There's all the gender theory is really coming to the fore right now. And there's various things which but we have to stick to the Word of God and the design of God. So here's the order. Here's the order of the family. This is how God has designed the family to be. The family that God has designed first and foremost is the nuclear family, which is man and wife, man and woman. And this is how He's designed it. God's plan is that husbands should love their wives as Christ loved the church. So that's the first foundational piece of building a family, that a kingdom family is husbands love their wives as Christ loved the church. That's Ephesians 5 verse 25, and it says wives to respect their husbands and to submit to their leadership. Ephesians 5:22 to 24, and children are to obey and honor their parents. And whenever we begin to drift away from this thing and we want to implement all these philosophies and theories we're seeing on social media that we're now taught in modern culture, a lot of these just simple foundational pieces, simple foundational scriptures. If we obey the scriptures, we're going to have strong, healthy families. Number 7. Now, one of the things I didn't understand in the interview was, and this is concerning Harry and his dad. Harry seemed to have been complaining that his dad has shut them out financially and shut them out emotionally. Now, on the financial part, what I didn't understand in terms of Harry is, I thought the move out of the royal family was for financial independence. I didn't know there was an expectation that even after you've left the palace, you still wanted financial support from the palace, which wouldn't make sense, because the reason why you said you're leaving is in order to pursue your own independence, and independence also included not receiving anything from this. I didn't understand that part. And then the other part I didn't understand in terms of Prince Charles is you're going to shut him out financially, and then you're also going to shut him out emotionally. You're not, because you disagree with him and you're fighting, you're not talking to him. That's not right. That is not right. Prince Charles is very wrong in that regard. He is still your son. He is still your son. That's still your daughter-in-law. and that's still your grandson. So I just pray that they're able to resolve that. But these things again do happen. You've got mothers and fathers and parents who actually shut themselves out. There's parents who actually say, "You're no longer a part of this family," and these are realities in some families where mom and dad don't talk, or kids and their parents just stop talking. And I just pray that there is going to be a resolution of conflict from this. And then number 8, who benefits from this particular tell-all? Who benefits from this? Not Meghan and Harry. They don't benefit from this because, like I said, those who already dislike them, you've given them fuel. Number 2, the crown doesn't benefit because those who dislike them come against them. The people who actually benefit are the media. CBS, Oprah, all of them benefit. Even Harry said they were not being paid for that interview. So it's only the media who benefit from this, but the family never benefits from these media tell-all. So when you want to go out there and put your family on blast, it's not your family. You're not going to benefit. Your family's not going to benefit, and it's only the media that is going to benefit. And then number 9, one of the observations I saw as well is when this interview came out, a lot of people started saying the royal family has to go. The royal family must be destroyed. We don't need it anymore. And one of the things I just want to push back on that idea is that we must learn to respect other people's cultures. The royal family is part of British culture. Any conversation about the crown ending has to be a British conversation. And we have to always learn, because there's people who look at us in Africa and say, Lobola needs to end, or the chiefs need to end. But it's our culture. We have to always respect other people's culture and not put our nose and say, no, this needs to end because of an interview and all this stuff. No, that's not right. We have to respect different cultures, different beliefs, and different ways of doing things. And then finally, number 10, I'm going to close with some fantastic news. Fantastic news from this thing. I'm going to close with good news. The good news with this thing is the Queen, the Crown, all of them are multi-millionaires. So this whole thing is not going to affect them. The other good news as well is Harry and Meghan. They are also millionaires, and they have been embraced by the American community. Tremendous opportunities have been coming from Netflix deals. They're actually working with the Obamas. They're working with Tyler Perry. They're working with Oprah. So they're in a good space as well. It's not a situation where the conflict with the crown has now made them live in a shack in Alex. They're not in that situation. They are doing very well. They're living in a mansion. They are eating, they are doing whatever they want, they're living well. This issue is just a family conflict, which again I have to reiterate is common. Family problems are common. So thirdly, the third good news is because all of them are all good, all of them are going to be fun, don't let it get you down and don't obsess about it. For us, we need to focus on what we need to do. 1 Thessalonians 4 verse 11 says, make it your ambition to lead a quiet life. You should mind your own business and work with your hands. So for us, let's make it our ambition to live a quiet lives. Let's make it our ambition to work with our hands and to be productive and to succeed. Because both of these parties, they are rich. And whether they are getting along or not getting along, their bills are being paid. They're not paying our bills. So at the end of the day, whether you want to be all this passionate about Harry and make it your own personal crusade to defend them, they are fine. And if you want to make it your own personal crusade to defend the Queen and to defend, she is fine. The best thing is for you to just be aware of it, but don't obsess about it. Focus on you. Focus on your family. Focus on making sure your family is good. Focus on being as successful as God has created you to be. And just live a quiet life. Stay low-key. Be productive. Use your hands and be blessed. I pray that God blesses your families. I pray that God heals. If there are family wounds and family drama in your family, I just pray let there be peace. If there's family conflict happening in your family, I just pray for peace. I pray that God would keep your family and protect your family in this time.